Oh my goodness. Hi. You caught me doing a little bit of quilting today. I'm so glad you're here. It's a beautiful day in Wisconsin. We've got a little ice, a little snow, and it doesn't look like it's going to stop anytime soon. So it looks like we're going to be stuck inside for quite a while. But that's okay because we're stuck in our quilt rooms and our craft rooms. And what better day to create than a day when you've got a beautiful scene outside your windows with the soft, glittery falling snow. And it's too cold to go out there and you don't want to shovel yet. So you might as well come up with something creative to make. And today is our last part of our From Trash to Treasure, if you will, series. We've gone from head to toe, so today is the toe part, and I'm going to show you what we can do recycling some more fabric, using it to make some really cute projects. I hope to inspire you today. I'm so glad you're here, and please hit the subscribe button so we can keep going. Tap that little bell if you want to be notified when our next video comes out. Makes it a little easier for you to find us. And otherwise, just thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm so glad to be here. So let's head over to the work table and I'll show you what project I've got figured out for us to do today. Okay, so we've been talking about harvesting fabric for the last couple episodes. And we've talked about dress shirts and how much fabric is in there. We've talked about t-shirts and the various different things that we can do with t-shirts. But now we're at the toe part, head to toe. Now we're going to talk about jeans and what to do with blue jeans. Because we all wear them. We all have them. We have a multitude of varying degrees of bits and pieces and parts that have ripped out, things that we want to use, things we want to save. Really, truly telling you how to harvest denim fabric for use is kind of a tough one because you have to know what you want to do with it before you start cutting it away, because you may need one part that needs you to open up the leg and lay it flat so you can have a wider width of fabric when you're doing buckets or pocket organizers or things like that. You want the maximum amount of width you can get out of your denim. So if we just go and cut pieces, we're going to mess up what it is you need to do. If you're looking to make one of those little denim purses that are so popular now, you're going to want to cut just an inch or so below the crotch seam straight across, removing the legs, because this is the part you're going to make your cute little bag out of. So again, for us to cut up the sides, that's kind of a waste. You really have to have a project in mind. So what do? Because obviously you can see I've got a ton of denim to work with. And my very most favorite project, the one I know I'm going to make every single time out of a pair of jeans, is a denim rug. And what I need out of the denim rug, I need this flat felled seam, kind of this double stitching seam, because it's a nice thick part. I had a pair of scissors here. Do you think I could find what I need when I need it? No. Well, shoot, I know I put them here. There they are. Okay, they were just stuck underneath this lovely pile of denim. Okay, so the very first thing that I do, I want the maximum length of this flat felled seaming that I can get. So what I will do when I harvest my denim, and I will plan my projects accordingly, because I just know I'm going to make a denim rug out of this, and I'm going to show that to you in a little bit. So I'm going to bring you closer because it's going to be hard for you to see what I'm doing so far away. And I'd really like you to see this. Perfect. Now, here's that flat felled seam that we're talking about. And so what I will do is come down to the bottom and I will cut right in here. And I want to cut right next to this seam so that I have a nice clean edge going on here. And I mean, it's pretty basic. What I do is I'm going to come all the way up the length of the leg, because that just happens to be where this seam is. Sometimes they're on the inside, sometimes they're on the outside. It, you know, just go with it. But you want the longest part that you can get if you get hooked on making these rugs like I do. That's kind of a no-brainer must. Now, you're going to notice when you get to the crotch seam, this intersection, there is like a ton of seaming here, and it's very thick, and sometimes it's hard to cut through. But we're also going to get rid of that too, because what I've found is if you leave that seaming in your rug, then it's too thick and it hurts your feet when you walk on it. It's also a wear spot. It's horrible. You don't like it. So trust me on that one when I tell you, we're just going to cut that out and get rid of it. Okay, so you can see I have just basically cut up one leg through the crotch all the way down the other leg. Now I'm going to come back again because my seam is still stuck in here. It's free on one side, but it's still stuck on the other side. So now when you're looking at this, it's kind of hard to judge, but you're going to cut as close as you can possibly get to that row of stitching, because you don't want extra fabric here. All you want is this hard rolled seam. Oh, and wait till you see the rug. It's amazing. You're going to love it. I love it. Everybody that sees it loves it. Everybody wants one. But I will tell you, I will forewarn you, you're going to need quite a bit of denim. So hopefully you've got friends, especially if they work in the trades, you got lots of denim then. Because guys seem to go through pants faster than falling off a log. Men and little boys, they're always a good source for denim. Okay, so as you can see, we're cutting all the way up one side through the crotch again, all the way down the other side. We're getting as close as we can possibly get to that seam. We don't want any extra hanging in there. It's just going to get in our way. All right. So, just about there. Hang on. Okay, so then this little hem piece, can you see that? It's quite lumpy bumpy. Cut that off. You don't need it. Then come back to the crotch area where you had that seam buildup. Cut it apart. Get rid of that lump. You don't need it. Then come to the other side and get rid of that side because you don't need it. Now, what I will do from here is I will fold up my denim and put it into a nice pile, and I will pull it down when I want to make something else. If I want decorations and sparkly things, then I will cut that part out and use that for something. If I want just pockets, I will cut the pockets off. I think I showed you in an earlier piece where I cut the pockets off and I reuse the pockets. So from this point, I pretty much leave them stacked in a bin and I use them as I need them. I will cut out this seam because I know I'm going to use it, and then I will leave it be, and I will come back and harvest out whatever it is I'm looking for on the next bit. So as you can see, I got quite a bit here. Now, stop talking and show me what you're going to make out of it. So what we're going to make out of it is this beautiful denim rug. Can you see that? How beautiful that is? Now, very, 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 very simple. I'm going to show you how to put this together. So we're going to head over to the sewing machine and I'll show you how it's done. Okay, so now we're sitting at the sewing machine. There's a little bit of setup that we need to attend to. The first thing that you want to make sure that you have is a regular sewing foot on that has the wide opening for the needle, because we're going to set our machines to do a zigzag stitch. So we need the widest possible opening that we can get so the needle can travel left to right. Trust me on this one when I say you want to make sure you have the right foot on, because I know firsthand you will break a needle if you do not. Okay, so then the next thing you need to do is you need to find your zigzag stitch. Go ahead and put your zigzag stitch on, and you want your zigzag stitch to be the widest stitch possible that you can make. And you want to be at about a 2.2 for your length. It does not need to be close together at all. Now, depending on the size rug that you want to make, you're going to need a pretty decent sized beginning point. And I just use my table. I just use whatever this length is, that's where I start. So as you can see over here, well, maybe you can't see. How funny. Okay, that's about what I've got left over. That's not going to give us a very good start. So when I told you to cut away all these lumpy things, because we don't need them, you really truly don't need them. But what you do need is you do need to make sure that all of your pieces, seams, are going in the same direction. What do I mean by that? When you cut your seam away from your jeans, you had a really flat side. Can you see that okay? You have a really flat side that you put the needle against, or excuse me, the scissors against and cut. And then you had the other side where you had to follow the stitching. So what I want you to do is put flat side to flat side and stitching side next to stitching side. So does that make sense now? You're going to put both the flat sides together and push them together on the ends. And you're going to have the side that you cut next to the stitching on the bottom on both pieces. That you do need to make sure that you have right. It does make a huge difference. Okay, so then when you get to the sewing machine, it's just a matter of pushing, oops, I'm sorry, I'm trying to do this so you can see it. You're trying to push these two ends together so that they're snug next to each other. You set your foot down and then you zigzag stitch across the top of these two pieces. And you're going to want to reverse and go forward on this, because the more stitching you have for this, the better it's going to stay together. So you want to make sure that you get it good and put together. Let me bring this up so that you can get a better view of what that looks like. So, okay, see what we've got going here. All right, so once you have that done, it's just a matter of going through however many strips you've harvested, and you're going to attach them together. Remember, cut those hems and lumpy crotches off. We don't need them or want them. We want to get rid of those because we don't want that wear mark in our rug. Because that's where the chair is going to hit every time. That's where your foot's going to hit every time. It's going to drive you crazy because every single time you're going to hit it. So get rid of it. You don't need it. We don't want it. We don't like it. Just get rid of it. All right. And then take whatever strips that you have cut, because this can be a work in progress. Really, really easy. So for me, what I will do is I will harvest my strips and I'll sew them in that same day, and then it's done and over with and I don't have to worry about it, and I can pile up the denim for future use, and if I get sick of looking at it I can get rid of it, which I don't do, but I mean, that's up to you. You do whatever you want to do. I've been told by a very good authority that this this is a sickness. There's a cure for this. They call this hoarding. I laughed so hard when I heard that. And maybe it's true, but the problem for me is I know I can make something out of it. Boy, I hate to throw away something and then have to turn around and buy it again, or buy some new fabric to do it with when I already had the used fabric. The other thing too for me, and maybe that comes with age, I don't know, but I guess that's not really true, because I've pretty much always been this way. I really do care about our environment, and it just kills me to put all this stuff in the landfill, and just, what a waste. What an absolute waste. Now, remember again, in case you forgot, flat side, seam side, seam side. And we're going to butt them up together, and we're going to put them under here, and we're going to give it a zigzag stitch. We're going to go back and forth a couple times because we want it to be good and secure. Cut it out. Get rid of our threads because we don't need them. They're just in the way. But I get a real kick out of making something out of nothing, or making something useful out of garbage, if you will. I like repurposing things. I like remaking things. I like to challenge myself to see what I can make out of them. This rug came about during the big craze with all the rug making. I was looking for a way to make the process a little easier, quicker. And by George, I think I've got it, because there's nothing easier than cutting a seam out, zigzag stitching it together. No pressing, no mussing, no fussing. Boom, it's together. Okay, so now this is all one very long piece, and it's ready to go. Okay, so like I said, we're going to measure out our end so we know how long we need for a runway. Then we're going to come in. This is the tricky part. You're going to fold it like a mitered corner on a quilt. Can you see that well enough? And then you're going to come through and you're going to miter it on the other side so that you end up with something that looks like this. Because it's denim, it's really, really hard to work with when you're turning corners and all that good stuff. Now, you want to butt these two seams really close together. And then we're going to go ahead and put that under the machine. Setting our zigzag. We've got everything ready. And we're going to line up our presser foot with going right down the middle of our seam. As we sew, we're going to gently just push these two sides together. You do want to make sure you have a denim needle in here, a size 16, because we're dealing with a very thick and bulky piece of fabric here. And so the less needles we break, the better. A nice matching thread or a contrasting thread in orange, whatever you choose, however creative you want to be. That's totally up to you. But then all we're doing is just zigzag stitching down this center line. And you can see how it parallels working with clothesline or with the batting padded bias strips that we've talked about earlier. And it's just a matter of making sure that they're pushed together and that we're zigzag stitching all the way down the end. Now, I chose a blending thread because I didn't want to really see what I was doing, so I have kind of a medium toned gray that I'm using. So it'll partially show up, but for the most part, you're really not going to see it. Now, here comes the tough part, because we're at the end. And don't worry, if you go off, you can always come back and re-stitch on top of it again. Piece of cake, it works fantastic. when we get towards the end, we have to do a little maneuvering the first couple rounds that we go around, and it's kind of tight, and you may have to get in there and give it a little snip right on the end. See how we've got that little snip going to allow it to turn the corner. You may want to use your needle down at this point on your machine. Give yourself a little help because you're going to turn and you're going to do a little bit of stitching. You really have to baby this to get it to come around for that first go round. And like I said, you may have to snip them to get them to turn because they're thick. They're thick and heavy. They're jeans. So you just want to get them to turn your corner. But it looks so nice when it's done, guys. There. Now I'm going to take you down there so you can get a good bird's eye view. Sure I am. There we go. All right, can you see how nice we've come around that corner? We've got a nice little archway going on. And yes, it does a little bit of lifting, but that's going to go away as soon as we come around the corner again. So let me put you back. So you can see what we're doing again. Sorry about the focusing. All right, and then we're going to come down. This is kind of the tedious part, but it's also great for when you just want to sew something without a whole lot of thought. And like I said, it's a great work in progress. So attach the strips that you have cut out and sewn together, and then set it aside and go work on something else. Before you know it, it'll be the size that you want it to be. The thing I like about using the denim for making these rugs is that you can end up with any size that you want to. Oh, and I should tell you too, you want to make sure that the seam is always to the inside of the machine so that it's building up over here on the left-hand side away from the machine. Because if you have it going the other way, it's all going to build up under here, and then you're going to be limited to size. Remember, nothing is ever wrong. It's just easier if you go certain ways and do it certain ways. So if you're doing it this way, the rug itself will build on the left-hand side where you have all the room in the world for it to grow, and you can end up with whatever sized finished piece that you want. Remember this, and this side is a little easier to work with because this is the side we folded so funky when we first started because it was so thick and hard to build up. But look how beautiful that comes out. You couldn't ask for a prettier beginning. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. And you can see, I ran out of bobbin thread. How fun is that? Perfect timing in a terrible spot to run out of bobbin thread, but that's the way it goes. So now that you have the idea of how this should go, and make sure that you're pressing this as you go along so that it stays nice and straight and doesn't get all wonky and out of shape. But as you can see, we have the beginnings of a very lovely rug, and the more strips you add, the bigger it's going to get. I'm going to leave you at this point because I think you know what you're doing. It's just a matter of running your strip round and round and round and round until it grows to the size that you want it. And I will give you one more closer look up of the rug that's already been finished, And I really hope you've enjoyed this project today. I hope that it will inspire you to go ahead and try a rug for yourself. I will tell you, denim is super slippery on the floor. So do make sure you put one of those non-slip pads underneath it. Maybe even hand stitch it in a couple places, tack it to the bottom of the rug so it really doesn't go anyplace, because boy, I would hate for anybody to get hurt. So be aware, they are slippery. You do need a non-slip pad underneath them when they're done, but remember, they can be any size you want them. They're made out of repurposing old jeans, and they're beautiful when they're done. Any color combination, any strip that you want to add, just go with it. Just enjoy yourself. Try something new. Keep rewinding if you need to know how to go around these corners again. Don't be afraid to clip so that it bends around the corner nicely. Don't forget to make that funky little mitered fold in the beginning, and you too are going to have a great and successful rug. So, thanks so much for stopping in today on this really, really snowy day. I'm so glad we got together. And thank you. We really appreciate your tuning in. Don't forget to hit the subscribe, tap that little bell, and YouTube will notify you whenever we put out a new video. And that way you won't miss a thing, because upcoming videos, I'm going to show you more and more and more how to recycle and reuse these things that we've talked about harvesting in between other projects. But they're going to be out there, they're fun, and they're free. Have a great day. Enjoy the snow today, Wisconsinites. It's been fun. Bye for now.